Mainstream AM chat. We're still on the interview segment. And just joining us in the studio is our colleague in the print media, Mr. Samuel Ajayi. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Before you came in, we were just asking Mr. Bolaoba if what he thinks about the strike, possible strike, imminent strike for tomorrow. Okay, Wofai?
So, Mr. Samuel Ajayi, talking about the strike, he has said this is not the best time to go on strike. I don't know what your take is, but the question I want to ask you is, why must Labour always employ reactionary measures like the deed is already done and then... It
would have been lovely to know his take, though. It would have been lovely to know his take.
Let's have a take. Let's have a take first.
All right.
My take is that strike is not necessary this time.
Okay.
It's going to be very, very unpopular. Maybe there might be those who will support it maybe for purely political reasons, just like they did 4 years ago. To me, we don't need any strike now, and I'm going to tell you why. Personally, there's one Yoruba which I'm going to translate to English in my best way, that the end had escaped. After the end had escaped, we are not trying to block our exit. When we're supposed to go on strike to hit the streets protesting had gone. This thing was excruciatingly painful a month ago. 2 months ago, people were buying 200 naira, 160. There was a day a guy said he spent 7 hours in filling station. You understand what I'm saying? We ordinarily, that's when Labour should have gone on strike. Not now. The problem is that if the government is confused, just give that to them. That's their own cup of tea. Because the Vice President said it was because of forest allocation. Kashiku said it was subsidy removal. Secretary to the Government of the Federation said it was price hike, or it was deregulation or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that the nature of our society, two things. One, those in authority live off the people. I was once an essay to the governor. From SSA upwards, you take fuel from the door. You don't buy fuel. You are entitled to 40 liters a week, which you may not even exhaust until you take another one on Monday. As special advisor, chief secretary to the governor, commissioner, they take free fuel. Including, I've never seen a governor who wants to go out and say you're not able to go out because there's no fuel in his cover. So in other words, they live off us. They will never feel this pain. If you are in charge of protocol in the government and you have to provide food, if strike is killing people outside, nobody cares how you do it. You have to get food. Because if not, your job is at stake. They don't feel it. It is the woman that's supposed to go to my 12 to go and get banana and plantains to sell and feed her family that will feel it. So it's not necessary this time. If it is subsidy removal, which I support, even the last time I came here, I said we keep on postponing the Euro Day. This rent-seeking regime has to stop. Labour should have gone on strike maybe 2 months ago when the thing was so bad. It would have been popular. But right now, it will just, go and sit down. That's what people will tell them.
Okay, Mr. Oba, let me get your thoughts on this. I was going to ask him about the reactionary measures, but I think he has already answered the question. He has said it might be price hike, it might be fuel subsidy, it might be deregulation or deregularization. Now, don't you think there's a communication gap and, an improper understanding between the government and the people? Because a lot of people, up until yesterday when Kachiku was at the House of Reps, I personally couldn't really place what's going on, if it's just a fuel hike, or if it's deregularization, or if it's deregulation, or if it's even fuel subsidy that are removing. Don't you think the government should communicate more properly, especially to the masses, to make us understand in clear terms what is really going on and what they are really doing?
I've lived in 4 countries in my young life. I've never seen a government that is very proficient with communication. Occasionally you get the likes of Tony Blair and the kind of government he ran because he led a party that had overstayed in opposition to come into government. And the discipline that he enacted in that wayward party then gave them a strategic edge for the first 5 years of his tenure. Discipline in communication, cutting edge, whatever. Even the so-called Obama government that people are celebrating now, the first 2 years of Obama's administration, he was everywhere but nowhere. He was being lambasted for being visionless. Obama, who is blindly going to be leaving office now, is even worse in Nigeria, where people in government tend to have a condescending predisposition to relating with the public. Most government officials talk down at the public. Most people in government talk down at the public. They don't even know. Sometimes they talk to you as though they're doing you a favor. Somebody who is living on my grace, talking to me. So I am not going to sit here and worry myself about the inefficient, sloppy communication style of the government. The reality, though, be it deregulation, be it deregularization, be it price modulation, be it, you didn't mention price modulation, which was the original terminology that Kachuku employed when he was pronouncing it, that the oil sector, the downstream sector has not been deregulated, and subsidy, there was no issue of removal or no removal of subsidy, but that price is being modulated. The reality where I'm sitting now, and that was why I said earlier on that for me, I have not seen the kind of picture, the perfect picture I would rather want to see in that sector. But for me, one reality is in place now. Price ceiling is defined now in such a way that it could incentivize myself and my brother to say, you know what, after all, if we have ordinary $100,000, even if we also bring in fuel, in a cycle of about, say, 6 to 8 weeks, that $100,000 may turn out to be $150,000 would have made reasonable profit, and that incentivization to make private investors put money in the sector. I know initially, indeed, given what I have seen as the surge in the forex, in the exchange rate of naira to the dollar, I know initially greed will push so many people into it, and in 6 to 8 weeks' time, you will be shocked that some filling stations will be putting ladies in front of their this thing to be begging people to come in, or even probably.
Okay, Mr. Samuel Ajayi, if you look at the situation right now, there is a crack existing within the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Ajero and the other comrade. Don't you think that with this development, this could also hamper a unifying force against the proposed strike? Yes.
Well, that's true. But don't forget one thing. You see, there's a reversal of role for those in authority now compared to 2 years ago or 4 years ago. They were in opposition and they were bedmates with the organized labor. Don't forget. And the human rights activists. I don't want to go into details of the so-called human rights activists on air. But labor, human rights activists, and the opposition, they are more or less working together. Mm-hmm. Now, the hunter now has become the hunted. Mm-hmm. Now, the question is, let's say somebody like Joe Oke-Odukmaki, who was part and parcel of this protest in 2012, go to Ojota and be lambasting Fashola, they did it together then. Mm. So even if the labor is so organized, the fact of the matter is that it was like a triumvirate then. Labor, the human rights community, and the opposition working together. Now, the opposition now is in government. Labor divided. Human rights activists have lost their voices. So who will now push the...
One thing that is missing from the configuration you painted was that the Ojota days, many people don't know that the Ojota days was costing almost 500,000 naira every day. People didn't know.
And somebody was actually providing money.
And the money was coming from about 3 sources. One of the 3 sources being Pastor Tunde Bakare. The other half, or indeed more than half, was coming from invisible sources. And those sources are now in the present government.
So how do you now now will they protest against themselves? So in other words, and don't forget one thing, like the man who brought me to journalism, former Executive Director, Technology Development for Mr. Fema Ajayi said, when you are opposition in Africa, you can get away with murder. You understand? When you are in opposition in Africa, you can get away with murder because the underdog syndrome, the sympathy for underdog is always enough that, oh, they are being mistreated, they are being maltreated. Now they are in government. Same people. I was just laughing yesterday when I was looking at this thing and what we are going to discuss today. Oyegu, who was begging for that? No, this is very, very sensitive in 2012. Not begging that we should understand 145 naira price hike.
However, I want to say, that in those days, I was vehemently antagonistic to Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's government. Vehemently, to be honest with you, because for me, the man wasn't quite catching the vision thing. But on the issue of fuel subsidy, I openly supported him. Tapes are everywhere. And you see, I'm one of the very few supporters of the opposition then who now has the moral latitude to say this is justified. And what was the reason why I supported Dr. Ebele Jonathan's government there? Because a sizable percentage of Nigerians live in delusion, believing there is no subsidy. Whatever you don't supply, you cannot control its price. Your father may be simple Omonile syndrome. Your father may be the owners, you may be one of the aborigines of the land. But if you don't build a shelter on it, you cannot live in a house. That is why almost 60 to 65% of the houses in Lagos today are owned by Indigos. You've got to where to chase them. They own properties there. Your father may be the owners of the land, but they bought it from you and they built on it. The reality is, if you don't want to call yourself a Monile, do you want to come and occupy my house? Anybody that tells you there's no subsidy is delusional and is not grasping with reality. And to be honest with you, thank God, from the President Muhammadu Buhari to some strategic characters of this government, they are now unveiling the delusion that some of them deliberately kept themselves in, or some of them ignorantly kept themselves in. There is subsidy on whatever you don't produce and is supplied into your market.
You can't control. But Mr. Oba, a respected activist, Dino Melai, he caused a row on social media yesterday and 2 days ago. He said he would, spark up a riot for the present government because he doesn't think that the price hike, just a moment, the price hike, he doesn't think that the price hike is what Nigerians need up until this moment. And I was on his Twitter page this morning and he was still on it, that he'd spark up a riot because he doesn't think the price hike is what Nigerians want. And so many Nigerians have reacted to it. It's more like there are two sides of the divide. But, in his own opinion, and I'd like to get your thoughts on his own opinion.
Dino Melai said he was going to lead the mother of all protests.
Of all protests, yes.
That was about 4 days ago. As at Sunday, when he was interviewed, I don't want to mention the name of the channel, but on a program just like this, when he was interviewed, he did a U-wi. We used to call it a U-wi in England, a U-turn. He reneged on his initial position, now saying that he would have a register of protests that people could go and sign, and that he would take the register to the president.
Okay, Mr. Looking at this situation, some analysts have argued, have asked the question, the Buhari administration has secured a lot of money from the looted funds. And the question is that what is happening with these monies collected? Why don't you channel these monies into building modular refineries? The argument basically is that the present government seems not to have a clear picture or clear vision of what to do. The 145 naira increase is not welcomed at all. So if you're in a position to speak to this government, what will you be telling them concerning the money so far recovered from politicians?
The question, have you seen the money? That's the $1 million question. Have you seen the money?
We are waiting for May 29.
We are waiting for May. You see, the point is that, like when we are growing up, we used to think that maybe our parents are not working enough. Maybe when you see other children, understand, we always, why can't we be?
Yeah, in a pair of canvas.
Yes. I used to
riding on chopper bicycle.
Let me give you a very short thing. When there was a guy of my age, when I was young in 80s, they had video. You can imagine that video, VHS, the old VHS. I had to borrow one cassette from him and take it home and kept for about a week looking at. I was not watching, just to feel that I too, he was my friend. The part of the matter is that it was always very easy to run government when you are in opposition. Like people have been saying, I doubt if APC actually expected to win this election, that election. See, it's one thing for you to make all the noise. It's like somebody saying he knows how to present more than this woman. Put him on air and let him come and do it. Now people are saying they have recovered so amount of money. Femi Falana have raised this issue. So many Nigerians have raised this issue. Just on Friday, the Minister of National Planning, Senator Odoma, said they will raise at least about 2.2 trillion naira from loan to finance the budget deficit. Now people are saying that if you have recovered 200 billion naira, for God's sake, why must you go and
take?
I had a considerable number of followership on social media. I raised the issue, and people were commenting. Somebody now said something that sounded so strange to me. He said, "Wait till May 29."
Yeah, the president has promised that he will.
No, what I'm saying, I said, is it May 29 that the money will be spendable? Is it that May 29 the money will be appropriated?
May 29, the names of the looters will be announced.
Does it mean that? Okay.
No names of the looters.
The amount.
They recovered the amount.
They recovered the amount. If you have the amount, I said, this is it. They said, no, a guy now said, no, not recovered money alone. Even TSA said this government has saved 2 trillion from TSA. I said, very good. He said, but we cannot spend it. I said, why? What's the meaning of TSA? In layman's language, you budgeted 20,000 for this dress. You go there, you met it at 10,000 naira. In other words, you have excess 10,000 naira in your pocket that you can spend on any other thing. That nobody will question you the way you spend it. It's you actually budgeted it, but it's an excess money now because you had a sort of budget surplus. Now the question is that where is the money? If truly they have recovered, AFC said they have recovered $3.2 billion. Hey, that's a lot of money. Calculated, that's about 1.2 trillion naira. I have a budget about 6 trillion naira. It means you have had at least, let's say, 20% of the budget to finance the budget. So the fact of the matter is that, as the Yoruba people will say, if you made 200 apes, and you announce to the world that you made 400, when you finish eating your real 200, you will now eat 200 lies.
Mr. Wofai, when Samuel Ajayi started up the conversation, he did say that when we needed this protest and when we needed this strike from Labour should have been a few months or a few weeks back when the prices in fuel was really high and Nigerians were going through pain to purchase some of these fueling products. But now if you're looking at the entire scenario and from what he said, I don't know if he shared the opinion that to an extent Labour's quest for the strike might be engineered by personal sentiments and selfish motives. A lot of people have said since there are cracks in the walls in Labour, there might be, personal sentiments and
you see, it's not fair to sit here and be rubbishing the reputation of people who I am not close to, who's this thing. I just know that Labour all over the world has a traditional role to play. And sometimes people like myself find that role to be intellectually vacuous, intellectually low-fi.
But why must it be that way? Must they always react after the situation has already been at stake?
Look.
Must they always come reactionary?
We are sometimes prisoners of the kite we are flying. When you want to go into the labor union movement after leaving university, the mannerism or your general predisposition to development will be different from those of you who left university and decided to go into journalism. Journalism tells you, journalism nurtures you to be a concealed skeptic and ask questions. Don't take anything that anybody throws at you. The Aluta labor movement nurtures you to be a rallying figure. Even when the message is not clear, just tell them, Aluta, we go. So if somebody is playing his traditional role, I don't want to sit here and be rubbishing the person. Let's be very honest with ourselves. Sometimes we live in boxes. I would rather want to use the perfume of my wife sometimes, but they tell me that perfume is not for women. And the thing is smelling nice to me, but I can't use it. We all sometimes feel, and sometimes I know people like you will want to feel, why can't I wear my husband's lovely shirt? But you know what? Some ladies have a way of knowing that this is a male shirt, not a female shirt. The truth is that labor is playing its role. And like my brother really said, what really made so many people turn around to ultimately, not enthusiastically, not warmly supporting this so-called price hike, is because at a point, for more than 2.5 to 3 months, I was buying a liter of fuel for average of 250 naira in my Lekki Aja axis where I live.
Okay, thank you very much.
We sometimes even bought for 500 naira a liter. So if I'm getting it officially at 145 naira a liter, and I'll be driving into a filling station, not be dealing with some degenerate characters on the side of the road, or just be imagining that my wife, my beautiful wife, will be standing in front of some boys whose character, they just look unkempt, untidy, and my wife will be negotiating with them, and somebody could snatch her purse or snatch my mobile phone. Maybe about time I bought it for 145.
Okay, Mr. Bola, because you've said this because of your status, I could be thinking of Bola in my 12th market. Who sells pepper. I mean, looking at
You want me to shock you? You want me to shock you?
No,
During all the days when we were buying at averagely 250 naira per liter, Bola had digested. Our micro ear making business, our micro seamstress business, because she also needed power, and the public power was not coming, and she needed to be in business. You know what she did? She just told people. That was why suddenly it became a topic in the social media sphere that the price of tomato has gone up. Because Bola is not crazy. I was telling people who say, but they after all, they are selling tomato, they are selling cucumber. Why are they saying forex? I tell people who say that they must either be salaried people or people who work in government. People who run businesses. I got my best training in business. I got it in Awolowo Market, Oju Oyemushi, helping Iyeleja, my mother, to hawk. While she was manning the shop, I would be hawking. And when you are selling, you think not only about the stock you have now, you think about generating enough revenue to be able to restock when you are emptying your stock. So all this theory about Bola, they've adjusted.
I don't think. But
I'm not saying it's easy.
Yes.
But they've adjusted. That's the reality of the circumstance.
Okay, very, very, very important. Well, in case you join us, this is the discussion segment on AM Chat, and we're looking at the impending strike action by the Labour NLC, what the implications are to the economy. Mr. Bola, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Joy. Let's assume the strike holds tomorrow. Let's assume. Do you foresee the 145 coming down to possibly, because
it's by fraction.
Definitely there are calculations that it might come down to 125 if this strike goes on tomorrow, because a lot of people have started stocking their house with food and everything. If it goes on, do you see this price coming down? And if government brings it down, what picture does the government create in your mind?
I want to believe that that's the toughest question you ever posed to me today. Because come to think of it, ordinarily, I will sound like a masochist if I say I don't want the price to come down. Because come to think of it, in the last couple of days too, I've driven into filling stations, and the tank of my vehicle that I used to fill with 9,500 naira, now I buy 9,500 naira, and the thing barely goes beyond half tank. But having said that, I am one who also realizes the fact that if we don't allow a margin that is good enough to incentivize private sector investors
The oil marketers?
to come into this field. We have seen the government try to do it alone, and the government failed because the money was not there for them to use. We have seen the government adhere to a regime of dictating the exchange rate. That failed because I could not go buy my own forex at parallel market 320 naira, and you will get your own at 197 naira, and you will expect me when I bring the product into Nigeria to sell at the government recommended price of 86 naira. That too failed. Now, if that band is not allowed well enough to entice, to let greed entice the people who will initially rush into it and glut the market, we will come to the same scenario that we found ourselves when Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was stampeded to do the reversal, and it came to nothing.
Mr. Joy, what's your reaction, sir?
You know, I said it here the other day. There's no water in the keg. You asked me to bring water down. A keg of water cost me 15 naira to bring down. You want me to sell at 10 naira. Somebody has to pay that differential. It's so simple. We have been postponing this thing for a long time. Let's remove the subsidy and even see how it pans out in 1 year.
I'm telling you.
That's just it. We have postponed the evil day for a long time. So it gets to a point, if I'm asking you, give me this thing, give me this ring, give me this ring, you keep on, okay, take whatever you want to do with it, do it. Let me even see. It's normal human thing. If we force government hand to come down, let me tell you, government anywhere, they know how to create artificial scarcity. They will say, okay, we wanted to do it, it is allowed us. So that's just it.
Okay, we'll just go for a break now, and when we come back, we'll of course come back to the final lap
of the
discussion this morning. Stay tuned.
I actually support the opinion in the sense that things are changing, everything is changing, things is weird. Even transfer from here to Ikeja, everything has changed. So my opinion is that they should try to do something about it. If that strike would be the solution to it, kudos to them, I support them.
Well, nobody is happy with the way the situation of the country is going. So we all Nigerians, we are not happy. We must open our mind to say it, because you're buying fuel at the rate of 80 something naira. Now you're telling me it's 145. So what do you expect? Maybe the strike is going to make things work. No issues.
It is good for them to fight for the poor people, because to be buying fuel for 145 naira a liter, and it is not everybody that will afford the money. Everything will arise. You see, so people are suffering in Nigeria so much. They're supposed to know the way they handle people, so that people will be enjoying. Nigeria is blessed, but the oil that we have in our country, they will be selling it for 145 naira. It is too. If NSC arrange with them, they refuse to comply with them, they're supposed to go on strike so that they will come down. That is what we all of us support.
The NOC should try and calm down. They should talk to their workers and try to resolve things. The president is working, right, and to build the house, we start in a day, and the president is really trying. We should give him some time. He just assumed post not up to a year, and I think with patience and support, I think everything will be okay very soon.
Welcome back. We're still talking about the proposed NLC strike and its possible impacts on the Nigerian citizenry and economy. We still have our guest right here with us, Mr. Oba, who has been analyzing some of these issues, and of course, Mr. Samuel Ajayi. I was going to say Shegun Ajayi. Mr. Samuel Ajayi, thank you for still staying with us. Okay, before we went on the break, Mr. Samuel Ajayi, you did analyze some of the issues Mr. Oba talked about, but very quickly, Mr. Benjamin Peters asked about the increase in fuel prices. If at the end of the day the amount is reduced to 125, what do you foresee? If at the end of the day the government doesn't do anything about the prices of fuel, then leave it at 145, irrespective of the labor strike, that if it holds tomorrow, what do you foresee? What does it portend? If the prices are left,
although the 145 is a ceiling,
that's what I want to
say. It's a ceiling.
The 145 was actually a ceiling, but trust Nigerians. Everybody just went to 145, so including those who had their consignment at 85 naira per liter. Everybody just went to 145. And like was saying off camera, see, we cannot continue to postpone the evil day. It's like you want to circumcise a young boy. It's better to do it when it's less than 8 days old. The older it grows, the more painful it will be. That's natural law of nature. You see, ordinarily, agreed, we are paying the price of the fact that our economy has always been a resource-based economy. My immediate elder brother has been in the offshore sector of the oil and gas business for the past 25 years. And he always says one thing. He has been to Venezuela, Iraq, Oman, Yemen. He has come to work there. It's one of less than 500 engineers who are fellow of Society of Petroleum Engineers. And he will tell you one thing. Any country that bases its major income on natural resources, anywhere in the world, is in trouble. And that is why this strike action, as long as crude oil is coming out and it's being sold, money will come in for government. If to say our resources, government incomes, come
from taxation. Look at tax finance democracies all over the world. They are the most prosperous. From Japan to United States of America to United Kingdom. Tax.
That is why our leaders, like you rightly said, talk down on us.
Yes, we're not giving them money for
how do tax-based societies work? How do they work? 20 of us, we have a society. But all of us cannot rule. And that's okay, all of us will be chasing our day-to-day bread, our daily bread. We are appointing him to come and rule over us. Out of the money we make from we not put some aside to pay him because he's abandoning his own business to come and superintend over us. So it's actually serving. So that is why I sit down all the time and analyze this country. Nobody is serving. If we are serving, why should you kill to win elections?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jay. Let's come to the issue of campaign promises. When Buhari, during the campaign, we heard, of course, from different quarters, if Buhari comes in, fuel might just be 50 naira. He's going to bring it down.
$1 to $1.
And, of course, at the point, it was 86 naira, 50 kobo for other oil marketers, NNPC, 86 naira. If you look at the difference, that's about 59. Is it 59 difference? Now, Mr. Boloba, where do you think this government actually got it wrong? Is it that...
it's not. Let me say it this way. Ironically, it's not getting it wrong. Ironically, it's getting it right from my perspective. Okay. It's just, unfortunately, there is an ideological war. There's an invisible ideological war in the heart of this government. Invisible, a very serious ideological war in the heart of this government. I really want to say, without pretending to be too close to Mr. President Buhari, I really want to say that indeed, Bola Oba, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying on major television and radio interviews that I was honoring that the president was the greatest ideological problem of this government. President Buhari is still a populist at heart. It took almost 1 calendar year to convince him, Your Excellency, this issue of pricing must be done. He eventually caved in almost a calendar year to the day he was sworn in. To be honest with me, you want me to shock you? There's another war that is going on in the heart of this government now. President Buhari would call allowing the dollar exchange rate to be flexible. He would call it ordinarily devaluation. But there is a difference between devaluation and allowing flexible exchange rate to allow for dynamic adjustment of your currency so that opportunities will not be created for some people who are already benefiting from Buhari, who is an anti-corruption war fighter, but because of the top-down dictate and follow regime of exchange rate, some bankers are round-tripping big time.
Mr. Oba, from the little you've said, I mean, it doesn't seem like the perception of this government, let's say the perception of the president or his mindset and the way he works, his way of operation might be changed anytime soon. If it continues that way, the next 4 years...
No, he changed on pricing. He didn't. It
took a very long time. I mean, it took almost 1 year.
And they're still, some people are still letting him know.
But on the other hand, if it goes this way, like if we continue operating in this way,
for the
4 years, Nigerians are waiting to see what
my
will
brother,
be
my sister, at the end of the day, the ultimate sovereign in a democracy are who? The electors, the voters. That is why they say the electorate. The ultimate sovereign in this land is not so much the love people have for Buhari, if you've not served them well. And I tell people, I used to be a politician in England, and I learned some things in England that I will never forget. And in my analysis, doing political analysis around Nigeria, I've always said it. People ultimately vote their pockets. During elections in Nigeria, you may give them rights, you may give them so much infrastructure. Even in the advanced world, you will notice that in democracies like United Kingdom, like Germany, it is during the year of election that the government in power will recalibrate the tax code to so allow people to take more home from their taxes.
Just a moment, Mr. Oba. Mr. Samuel Ajayi, yesterday, Ibe Kachiku was at the House of Reps. Of course, it was a very rowdy session, with majority of the PDP disagreeing with his terms, his conditions, and all of his explanations. I mean, Ibe Kachiku has been in a very hot seat in the last months. Do you think there's something Ibe Kachiku is not doing right? Yes, he's not the Minister for Petroleum, but he's the Junior Minister of State for Petroleum. And of course, he has a major responsibility in the face of all of these challenges. Do you think it's that time he sits down, yes, there's been several negotiations with the Labour, but what is he not putting it in the right place or in the right spot?
I don't think there's anything he's not putting, like Mr. Oba said. It took almost a year. See,
the dogmatism of the president.
See, in state governments,
I am particular about Ibe Kachiku.
Yes, in state governments, commissioner, deputy governor, special advisor, they use red pen, the green pen.
In the hands of his excellency.
And when there's that green pen on any document, it carries seal of authority. The ultimate decision rests with the president. Like he rightly said, it took almost a year to convince the president you have to deregulate. Again, he was forced to swallow his words. Like he rightly said initially on this program, maybe he has forgotten to say so. Most of those who are in power now believed there was no subsidy. There are people who deliberately told people, and they knew there was subsidy. But for political reasons, they are saying there was no subsidy. What is it the Kachiku not doing right? Let me tell you, those who are close to that man is working. Give it to him.
Even at the screening, he says
this is the most difficult period of his. It's not easy. You have to balance two worlds, and very antagonistic and different worlds. The popular world and the world of reality. Let me tell you, there's nothing they call utopianism and reality in life. I always say it's normal for a young girl to enter university at the age of 17, graduate at 21, serve at 22, and marry at 23. But how many girls does that happen to?
Mr. Jerry, if you look at this issue, you talked about that the price will likely maybe in a few weeks, but calculations out there is that this hike or the 145 could last for about 8 months before market forces
force it down.
Force it down.
You know what?
Force it down.
You know what? There's a
yes.
fact that we all agree now.
Yes.
2 days after the pronouncement of that policy of either price modulation or deregulation or subsidy removal, whatever anybody wants to call it, I would rather call it price modulation, because if PPPRA is still in place, there's no deregulation. You don't have an agency of state, an agency backed with statute, regulating price in an industry where you are not the major manufacturer or major producer. So I would rather want to say it's price modulation. Now, they've defined the price to the upper end. 2 days after defining the price to the upper end, the dollar to naira exchange rate that was 320 naira suddenly went as high as 380 naira. That price hike is as a result of the surge of those who want to buy dollar with a view to bringing in fuel. My sister, most of those monies are borrowed money or monies that must be turned over quickly. When those items get into Nigeria in about 6 to 8 weeks' time, quote me, some people would be pressed to redeem the monies they borrowed and make whatever they can make reasonably within the price band. So they will be targeting that 145 price band. But I am saying with a degree of conceit, it's simple economics. In our market, you understand? When you rush to the market, when suppliers rush to the place where they are getting the items and they glut the market, initially there will be a down low and the market will balance out. My sister, we are going to be alive by the grace of the God we worship in 8 to 10 weeks' time. Let's see what will happen when the first consignment of the people who were led into bringing in fuel by greed. Let's see what will happen then. Because they need to redeem their money.
Okay, there's this question. We have refineries. We have crude oil.
Yes.
I'm just talking about the layman complaint now. We are producing. We have the oil. Recently, Lagos. We've discovered oil in Lagos.
Oil wells around Nigeria.
Now, why should we be having? Somebody said we should even be buying fuel at 40 naira. Mr. Jai, you have all it takes. You have the product. You have everything. I know you made an argument that as long as that becomes your mainstay of your economy, you're going to have problems if you don't diversify. But you have this product in your country. Why are you suffering? Why is,
I'm going to take you back to what he said. You have the land, but you don't have house on it. They're just calling your money landowners. Can you sleep in the bowel? That's just it. Now let me tell you. You have seen cassava, the raw cassava, when you are putting it. You have seen it before, sir. Tell me the difference between it and Gary. It's like here to London.
Gary is processed.
It's processed. Uproot, peel, wash, grate, ferment, fry, sieve, before it becomes Gary. People keep on saying we have crude oil, Can we put crude oil in our? There are so many derivatives from even the crude oil.
Don't we have enough money to put the process in place that can enable us process
our? If you don't have enough money, can't you put some structures in place to enable us?
Because doesn't it boil down to corruption?
Refineries, right?
The regulation is the structure.
Let me tell you, refineries. Is that not the same? The question is that I always ask this question. The investment MTN put into their business before it became profitable could build 3 or 4 refineries. Why did they put that money there? There's no way you can continue. Let me give you an insight. When Glo wanted to launch, he had this acrimonious battle to gain his license from CIL that time. When he gained, I was privy to those who were sitting down with him. I didn't know that first. I've spent a lot of money. I'm paying salaries for over a year. So I have to do 15 naira per minute, the way MTN and Ekune were doing then. That's what now said. And you wanted to sell. So what are you bringing to the market? If you do
what is the value innovation?
Value innovation. You have to start with per second billing. That's the only thing that would force some people. And that it was when Glo came. Go back in this.
Oh, yes.
It was when Glo came that people started having 2 lines. You cannot continue to force government to build refineries. Let us deregulate and let private individuals build refineries. We can always say government.
Which area of government, you leave the refineries, which area of government can you point to that is properly managed?
In your concluding words, I mean, what are your thoughts? What would you say to Nigerians?
I want to implore Labour tomorrow. I want to implore the Ayuba Waba faction of Labour, which seems to be the bona fide faction. Tomorrow they should, down their tools by not,
don't let them down their tools.
But they should not,
they should not down tools.
They should not down tools. They should not, go on strike. We don't need it now. Let this play out. The role of the labor movement now should be making sure that the governance infrastructure that will make this price hike, this sacrifice, translate to sustainable development in the industry is what behooves them now.
But I'm not a supporter of this government. People, my followers on social media know. But on this one, I have Buhari's back. It truly is. Like I said, let them even remove PPRA. Let them get another job. maybe deploy them to other agencies. Let us have subsidy, total subsidy removal, and see how the market reacts to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jai and Mr. Bola. Thank you for coming. Wofai?
Thank you very much. It's been a very nice session. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your intellectual conversation. The program has been AM Chat. Thank you so much for watching and staying tuned. Do remember that you can always go on our Twitter handle at MITV Lagos. Make your views and comments count. Thank you for watching. My name is Wofai Samuel. From me to you, goodbye. Benjamin?
And from all of us here, thanks for watching. Today is World Hypertension Day. Go out there and